What is the worst way you've been broken up with? She had her stepsister call my parents' phone. Didn't have a cell phone then, to break up with me, except my dad answered, so she told him it was over. He simply said, "I think you want to talk to my son." Looking back, I think it's hilarious. Hi over, this is dad. I was 21, came home from work and everything was gone. She left a milk crate, the tiny TV, a trash can, and the box spring to the mattress. I didn't actually know that she left me, so I called the cops and told them that someone stole everything, including my girlfriend. I was pretty hysterical, but the 911 operator was able to calm me down and inform me that my girlfriend most likely left me. So 911 basically broke up with you. Rough. After 3 years, my girlfriend decided to tell me that the only reason she was with me was because she loved my older brother and wanted to come over to see him. My brother had no idea and was just as P as I was. Good to see your brother was on your side and equally as P. He told me he knew before we got married that it wouldn't work out. I asked him why he didn't call off the wedding, and he said, "Come on, you wouldn't be able to handle that." Oh, crap, right. Being in a dead loveless marriage for 2 years was so much easier to handle. Sounds like he was just trying to blame you for his cowardice. When she was being a little weird when I asked if she wanted to hang out and said nah, she was busy. Didn't think much of it until I went to hang with my friends instead, and we went to the movies and saw her there with another guy. Should have gone and sat with them. Just abandoned, without any words, without any explanation, no warning. No answers. One day I'm excitedly planning a future with my husband. The next day he's just gone. Cut all contact. In my opinion, it doesn't get much worse than that. I hear you on this one. I've had plenty of bad relationships end in many different ways, but the sudden cease of all communication was by far the hardest to handle. She dumped me by saying she was going to a special treatment center for an eating disorder. She instead fricked my best friend. Still hate both of them. A disorder of eating too much dong. Email that said, "Welcome to Dumpsville. Population, you. Funny on The Simpsons. Less funny in real life. If it makes you feel better, they lost their chance to say, with onion rings." On our 3-year anniversary, he was basically like, "Here are your anniversary presents. BTW, we're over." A few minutes later he then asked, "Can we still be friends, with benefits?" Email was bad enough, but the worst goes to my ex, who told me to watch a movie to understand why she was breaking up with me. This was on my birthday too. Without a word, no calls, no texts, nothing while I was in the hospital or emergency surgery. Get back to work. We met as co-workers, and he was dating another girl we worked with. That's crap house. 16 hours after the guy I was in love with for 2 years finally asked me to be his girlfriend, he changed his mind because I didn't remind him of his ex enough. So that was fun. 4 weeks before our wedding, having to do the breaking up for him because he just sat there hanging his head, not saying anything but "I'm sorry" and occasionally wiping his eyes as if he was crying, but his eyes were totally dry. It could have been worse. I attended a wedding where the groom had to get drunk before he could even go up to the altar. They got married and by all accounts the marriage is mostly tears and arguments. A month into a relationship, in the middle of intercourse, then he told me not to cry because I was a beautiful person. Shut the frick up, dude. I hope you slapped his dong off you. This was Christmas 2014. It was a long distance relationship. She drove out to see me. It was the 23rd of December and I was flying back to Virginia to visit family. I left VA the year before, so she was with me for the week. She took me to the airport and drove home. When we got out of the car, I told her I loved her and she said it back. We kissed, hugged, frick, then I left. I land in Virginia, and I get a text from her saying it's over because my dad makes a lot of money and we just grew up in 2 different worlds. Fast forward to Christmas 2015. I am with a girl who lives like 5 miles away from where I live. I just had a gut feeling things were going to end while I was in VA for the holidays. The day after Christmas, she breaks up with me. I've learned one lesson from this: don't go to Virginia for Christmas. 2 years with my ex. She leaves me for the "don't worry we're just friends" guy, saying you are so much more handsome, but he's just more macho. I was sleeping in the guest bedroom at her parents' house. She snuck up from her room in the basement and woke me up at 3 AM to tell me she didn't want to see me anymore and I should just leave in the morning. That's when you take a crap on the bed. Something for them to remember you by. Dating a girl for about half a year. She moves out of town. Keeps asking me to come live with her because I'm not in a good situation where I currently live. After one really bad weekend of depression-fueled painkiller use, she drives down and, along with some friends, convinces me to move in with her. I pack all my stuff that day and go to her place for a week to find a job, on the condition that I go back for 2 weeks to finish up my job and get paperwork and stuff in order. Roommate is P as heck, makes me leave my dog to him. I get there, and the whole week she's a completely different person. Unaffectionate, rude, meaner than I ever have seen her. I remember quietly crying the last night I was there, not knowing what I was going to do. She then tells me that I can't leave any of my belongings with her because her family will be visiting and her dad still pays for her apartment, so I have to take it all back to my hometown with me for the 2 weeks till she breaks it to her family. So I drag all my stuff back to my hometown and crash with my co-worker for what's supposed to be 2 weeks. At the end of the first week she calls and says I can't move in with her anymore because her dad will stop funding the apartment. Fine, whatever. I'm mad but it's not her fault, so I decide I'll look for a place near her that's affordable. I end up stuck in my hometown for over a month trying to find a place and a job near her, all the while she's blowing off all communication with me. One night I end up getting drunk and she calls me, dumps me 2 minutes into the conversation. So now I'm homeless. The co-worker I'm staying with is moving at the end of the month, and broke, and alone. 8 months later, I'm living with my aunt 4 hours from my hometown, and I just managed to get a job. I've never felt more lost, or been more hurt by anyone, including the relationship I was cheated on in. We had been dating for 2.5 years. I bought a plane ticket to Seattle for him. We lived in NY, so he could go visit his family because he hadn't seen them in a while. When he left, a week later he said he was going to stay another 2 weeks because his grandma wasn't doing well. 2 weeks turned into a phone call while I was at work, taking care of a special needs girl, saying he knocked a chick up and is not coming back. Too bad you couldn't get the airline to pack him up and send him to Abu Dhabi. Back in college I had a girlfriend break up with me through my therapist. Came to therapy and was told by the therapist my GF didn't want to see me anymore. I told the therapist how unprofessional this was, and then broke up with my therapist. Well, currently, the girl that was dating hasn't responded to any of my texts, messages, or emails in almost 3 months, completely out of the blue. That's a pretty crappy way for it to happen. Same thing happened to me a couple of years ago. We were so in sync that I actually started believing that something super serious was going to come of it. I didn't tell him that because we'd only been dating for maybe 4 months, and then he just stopped talking to me. Cut all contact. I had no idea what had happened. Felt so crappy for ages and then got over it. It gets better. You know that thing men do sometimes where they want to break up, but they don't want to do it, so they just start being a dong so you break up with them? Yeah, that happened to me in college over winter break. I didn't want to be the B who broke up with him over a text message, so instead we just fought constantly for 3 weeks until we were back at school. Breakup went like this. Me, I want to break up. Him, okay. My sister got broken up with in her birthday card. Yeah, he gave her a birthday card in which he writes I want to break up. It happened in middle school. Later that day our brother and I pushed the guy around a bit. Our middle school, such a mess of a time. Carrier pigeon. Impressive. I got a message on Facebook saying that we couldn't see each other anymore and that she was moving to Iowa. I feel worse for her. I was with one girl who ended it by making out with another guy right in front of me at a club. Pretty sure she intentionally made sure I saw it because she was too scared to break up with me like a decent person. But I never talked to her again after that, so I'm not entirely sure. A game of hangman. I want to be single was the phrase that I had to guess. Needless to say I cried while walking 3 miles home. I'm on the other side of this. I went over to my boyfriend's house to break up with him, but I'm so non-confrontational that I couldn't figure out how to do it, and when he asked if I wanted to watch a movie, I agreed. He put on The Prestige and paused it about halfway through and asked what was wrong, so I said it was over. For whatever reason, we still wound up finishing the movie. It is a pretty entertaining film. Let silence take over. To cut all ties without a single explanation hurts so much. Left me thinking if I'm unworthy of a closure. I was 15. I lived in MA and my dream was to go to Disney World at the time. My boyfriend was going to Florida with his family for a week and his family invited me to go with. It was the most magical time. In my head, everything was going so perfect. I got to go to my dream place with my first love. I fell in love with him so fast and so hard. His family loved me. My family loved him. It seemed so right. Then the day we got back from this amazing vacation, he broke up with me through email. I asked him why and never got a response back, ever. He could have at least waited a week after coming back. Way to break a young girl's heart. But here is a happy ending to this story. Now I'm happily married and live in Orlando. I can go to Disney World with the hubby anytime I want. He cheated on me with another guy, and being as blinded by love as I was, I told him I'd take him back. Apparently people that had seen them together talked and he went ahead and blamed it all on me. He made sure to make me look like an butthole when in fact I was the only one on his side. After all this he said she said crap. I finally told him, if you love me, let's make this work. His response? You're so immature. I was so hurt. What hurt me to my core was that a week before crap went down, he had come to talk to my dad to ask for my hand in marriage. 2 weeks after the "you're so immature" conversation, I found out he had been engaged the entire time he was dating me. His fiancé just happened to live in Colorado. Less than a year later, they got married. It took me freaking years to move on. I'm sorry for your pain. That said, I think you dodged a major bullet. Disappearing act. There was just a gradual loss of communication and out of nowhere her Facebook status changed, and she knew I hardly logged into Facebook. Imagine my confusion when I suddenly wake up one day with calls and texts of commiseration. Mutually, easily, and without an argument or any real reason to be angry at one another, simply because we knew that during the course of our relationship we had grown into different people with different goals, opinions, and morals that didn't line up anymore. This just happened several months ago. We dated for almost 4 years all through high school, started going to the same community college, talking about finding our own place once our work lives picked up a little more, but we both knew how much we had changed during the years we were together. She definitely changed more than I did, and I believe she had a really strong desire to see what else was out there. There were some trust issues I had with her after catching her in some lies. She didn't support me in my career path, and really disregarded how I felt about certain things in the relationship. But regardless, we both worked really hard to try and salvage things and get back on the same track. When the day came that we broke up, we both knew it was what was best. We simply agreed it was better that we go our own ways, pursue our own goals and make ourselves happy. We both cried a little, hugged, and said goodbye. No arguments, no reason to be angry, no resentment, no regrets. And for me, that's what makes it so freaking difficult. I absolutely love the heck out of the girl and would still do anything for her as a friend if she seriously needed me, but sometimes I wish I had a reason to be mad at her, or something to blame it on. We tried staying friends for the first few months, but I realized pretty quickly that was going to be too difficult for me, and wouldn't allow me to move on the way I needed to. So we cut off all ties with each other, and now what was easily a huge part of my life, my closest friend, and the person that I loved unconditionally is gone. The confliction I feel between being happy that I can be myself and pursue my goals, and feeling empty due to cutting out a huge part of my life is where I'm having a hard time healing. I suppose time will heal things though. I recently found out through a mutual friend that she's seeing someone now. I've found a passion in backpacking and adventuring and just recently took a 3-day trip into Yosemite a couple weeks ago to get away for a little bit. I have tons of pictures I thought about posting, but I'm pretty sure this post is going to be buried and not sure anyone would see the picture anyways. Rant. 7 years of best friendship, 5 of which we were dating. She dumped me via text message on my birthday after spending 3 hours with me and not so much as hugging me before she ditched. I met a decent girl a few years back when I lived in London. We spent a few months together before I returned to Australia. The following year she came over and spent 3 months with me before she returned to the UK. We never actually broke up. We just left it as a see you again soon kinda thing. The year after that I booked a flight to London to spend a few weeks with her. The day after I booked my flight she told me she was seeing another guy. It was going well with him, so she decided the thing we had was officially over. Now I totally understand the difficulties in staying with someone who lived on the other side of the world. But come on, Colder broken up with me before I booked the bloody flight. Girlfriend came into the room and told me it wasn't working out and that we were over before running out the room crying. I lay there stunned, unable to run after her due to the tubes in my chest. Yep, I was in hospital. My first stay in hospital. She came and dumped me in hospital. Day after we hung out, I got a Facebook message in the morning that it wasn't working out and he was dumping me. A few hours later I found out that a friend of mine had died. What an awful day. GF of 4 years broke up with me on New Year's Eve 2007 to 2008 technically. Just the highlights as this won't get read anyway. 1. Her dad visits from Iran. Yes, she's half Iranian. So because he's here I can't stay over. We exchange Christmas presents on the 24th except I don't get given anything. Told it's in the post. 2. Christmas Day I called to see when I can pop round. Told I can't as she's going for a family meal. This is the first meal I'm not invited to. 3. Christmas Day and it's crap not seeing her but I don't twig on. 4. On Boxing Day I get a call from her mum asking why she isn't answering her phone and when does she intend on coming home. Confused reply as I hadn't seen her since Christmas Eve. 5. Finally get hold of her via her friend's number. Turns out she's been going to her mates smoking opium. The frick. 6. Comes out in the wash that she hasn't been working for nearly 3 months and has been screwing the dealer to get more opium. That was on New Year's Eve. Happy 2007. I dated a girl for a year, moved away from my family to get a crappy job in a factory and support her through school. After 3 years, I asked her to marry me and she said yes. We made plans to elope within a few months. 2 days later she broke up with me and said that she was a lesbian and had known since she was in middle school. I ran out of our apartment, but luckily didn't have a wallet, keys, or even a belt. I would have killed myself. I gave up everything I had for her. Luckily, I walked over to a buddy's house a few blocks away and we drank together and he talked me down. I'm better now. This story does have a happy ending, though. I spent a few weeks living somewhere else, and when I came back to move out, as I was leaving with the second to last load of stuff to put in my car, she pooped her pants. I repeat, she pooped her pants. There's nothing she could have done that would have made me feel better. Jesus Christ, you guys, she pooped her freaking pants. So I started dating this girl in college and her ex was a guy from South America, so I was like cool, at least I shouldn't have to worry about that guy. So things were going fine and we go to our respective homes for winter break and I offer to come see her for the New Year's but she refuses and says she just likes celebrating with her parents each year. She's kinda cagey, so I'm like okay, that's cool, whatever. So fast forward to Valentine's Day and I get her flowers and take her out to a nice dinner blah blah blah. So we took a cab there and I didn't any small bills at the time for a tip and the driver couldn't make change. This was before the time of Uber. So I ask if I can borrow a $5 from my girlfriend for the tip and she reluctantly agrees. So at dinner she is super upset that I didn't do anything nicer for Valentine's and that I made her pay $5 for the cab. So because she is so pee about that, she then admits that during winter break she had her ex come up from South America for the entire break and they were sleeping together. But then even worse is she gets upset that I don't want to be her frick buddy since her other guy is in South America and therefore cannot regularly bang her. My now ex-boyfriend stole the money I thought we'd been saving for a vacation and ditched me the night before our anniversary. 3 months of taking extra shifts gone to waste, as well as a 3-year relationship. Screw him though. This all happened 2 weeks ago and I've already started saving up for my own douchebag free vacation. She left me for my best friend who needed her more than I did, then in an effort to feel less guilty, told me I was an awful boyfriend and that everything was my fault and we could have been happy if I was better. I don't think she understood how much she hurt me, and now I'm still depressed and lonely. Get out there and change that. Look like you were the better half of that relationship. Hold your head high and get the woman you deserve. A girl dumped me in university time saying to me I didn't give her any like on Facebook, while telling her friend I was a douche because I didn't even buy her any present. We had been together a week by then. We were 21. She wasn't smart. I probably was worse for accepting to date her. Glad I adulted after that. The wishy-washy string along. I was dumb and desperate enough to put up with it, and my hopes were on a daily yo-yo for about a month until I finally realized it's okay to tell someone to frick off. Very important lesson. Long distance thing wasn't working, but we were too stupid to do anything about it. One morning I called her and while we were talking, it went like this. Me, is that your shower running? Her, yeah, I was in the shower when you called. Me, it just turned off. Her, yeah, I reached in and distant male voice. Honey, do you know where I put my other shoe? Me, did you just do an impression of you as a man asking yourself where you put your other shoe? Her, butthole. Click. After dating a guy, on and off, from the age of 15 to 19, I found out I was pregnant. He hung up on me and changed his phone number. That was probably the most hurtful way I've been dumped. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.